Clifford, a well-heeled gent of fine breeding, had just wed the radiant Connie, and the pair were utterly smitten, glowing like two lovebirds without a care. Yet Connie's sister, Hilda, couldn't shake the unease that gnawed at her belly, for Clifford was off to the front lines the very next day. Their wedding night was sweet but fleeting, and with the dawn came the cruel parting, Connie clutching him with tears in her eyes as he rolled back to the horrors of war. Time moved on and tragedy struck when Clifford's father passed away, forcing the couple to settle into the sprawling family estate. Clifford returned from battle battered, strapped to a wheelchair. Yet Connie, loyal as ever, met his broken state with tenderness, her heart full of devotion. But behind closed doors, things weren't rosy. Clifford turned cold, refusing intimacy and showing no urge to make her feel wanted, leaving her quietly aching in silence. Life at the estate plodded on, new staff interviewed, and among them appeared Oliver, an ex-officer turned rugged gamekeeper, with the air of a man who'd seen too much. Clifford, stubborn as a mule, demanded Connie alone see to his every need, from nursing him to aiding his scribbles of writing, while Connie's own spirit wilted with boredom. She longed for a change, often daydreaming of heading to London to see Hilda. On a village stroll, she encountered Mrs. Flint, a schoolteacher, who spoke of striking miners struggling for fairer conditions, a reminder that the world outside was restless. Not long after, Clifford asked Connie to push him through the woods, but his chair sank in muck. Oliver appeared, all earthy and capable, freeing him with ease. Connie, almost against her will, threw a glance back at him, curious. Later, Clifford shocked her with a ghastly suggestion. She should bed another fellow and bear a child to pass off as his heir, treating it like a clinical errand. Connie, who had sworn loyalty, was appalled, her love bruised by his cold practicality. At a writers' gathering, an Irish guest grew cheeky with her, which Clifford noticed and bristled over, declaring the man unwelcome thereafter. Distance spread between them like a fog. Clifford, rattled by harsh reviews of his latest book, sulked, while Connie grew more dispirited, the sting of his baby schemes still weighing heavily. Relief came with Hilda's visit, bringing warmth and sense, and soon Connie arranged for Mrs. Bolton, a sturdy widow, to tend Clifford, giving Connie space to breathe. Mrs. Bolton, frank and kind, shared her sorrows of losing her husband to the mines, left destitute save a measly £300, a story that touched Connie deeply. Freed from constant care, Connie wandered more, curiosity drawing her towards Oliver's cottage. By chance, she stumbled upon him bathing unbothered and unashamed. She admired his snug home, pleasantly surprised to find he enjoyed books. He spoke of pheasant chicks soon hatching, then offered her flowers from his patch, a simple act that stirred something within her. Connie later brought those blooms to Mrs. Flint, who casually revealed Oliver's bitter past. His wife had betrayed him while he fought abroad. That knowledge lingered in Connie's mind as she drifted home, restless. On another day, she heard the sharp strike of hammering across the stream, the sound of Oliver again, and felt an odd pull she couldn't quite name. Connie was startled to stumble upon Oliver by the stream, and when he beckoned her into a snug little hut close by, she sat quietly as he carried on with his work, their eyes locking now and then with an odd spark neither dared name. That hut soon became her secret refuge, a place where she scribbled in her journal while the world outside carried on. Yet, as weeks slipped past, she grew more cut off from Clifford, who spent his days laughing with Mrs. Bolton, playing games and managing the estate as though Connie were little more than a guest in her own home. Left adrift, she found herself loitering by the pheasant chicks, watching them hatch as if searching for a piece of herself. At a lunch with Clifford's business partners, he belittled her in front of them, his smug tone making her feel small and humiliated. Stifling her upset, she ran off to the chicks, only to break down when Oliver gently guided her hand to hold one. Overwhelmed, she panicked, but he steadied her, and in a rush of emotion she clung to him. They retreated to the hut, where she, trembling and bold, reached for him first. Oliver resisted at the start, but her longing undid him, and at last the line was crossed. He walked her home afterwards, Clifford none the wiser, his head too full of schemes. The following day she lingered for Oliver, and though he worried about scandal and her good name, Connie silenced him with a fierce kiss, insisting life was short. He gave her all his focus, every touch for her alone, and they planned to meet at his cottage next time. Before leaving, she mischievously left a piece of her undergarment behind, a token for him to keep. Back at the manor, she barely heard Clifford rambling about mining ventures, her mind elsewhere, her soul alive again. She wrote Hilda a letter confessing that once she'd felt hollow, but now her heart throbbed with life. Visiting Mrs. Flint later, she still clung to the hope of one day giving Clifford a child, though it rang hollow inside. Oliver soon appeared for milk, and in a stolen whisper pressed her about avoiding his cottage. When he tried to touch her, she flinched in fear of eyes watching, but he coaxed her into the bushes as dusk fell. There, beneath the leaves, passion claimed them again, and Connie realized just how starved for tenderness she had been. Returning home unseen, she found Clifford and Mrs. Bolton oblivious. In the months that followed, her secret bond with Oliver only deepened, until one morning she noticed her body changing. That night, speaking softly with Mrs. Bolton, she listened to the widow admit she'd never wed again, content with her lot, while Connie's own restless heart thudded with forbidden love. Connie, though nodding with Mrs. Bolton's reflections on love, was really thinking only of Oliver. When she let slip that she might yet fall pregnant by Clifford, Mrs. Bolton was startled, the notion seeming laughable. On wash day, the maids gossiped about the miners working themselves to the bone since Clifford's rule, while Mrs. Bolton hinted that Lady Chatterley might provide an heir. After all, this rumor crept back to Clifford, who smugly believed Connie had come round to his odd proposal of finding a man in secret. Connie played along, saying she might meet someone while visiting Hilda in Venice. Clifford, puffed up with his own schemes, allowed it, so long as he never knew the details. When Connie told Oliver of the trip, she also admitted she was carrying a child with Clifford's approval. Oliver was floored, bitterly thinking he'd been used like a stud horse. Her pride made him draw back, but Connie pleaded, insisting it was never contrived, that it simply happened. Clifford, meanwhile, buried himself in talk of machinery and profits, boasting of his mines as though the workers were mere beasts. Connie, tired of his arrogance, lashed out, accusing him of treating men like livestock. Soon after, Clifford's motor trike broke down. Oliver helped push, and Connie, swept by impulse, kissed him. Oliver recoiled, unable to shake his wound. Finally, Connie's patience snapped. She unleashed her anger, railing against Clifford's cruel wages of £2 a week and his conviction that the upper class were born to rule. Later, she softened with Oliver, apologized, and confessed she wanted to leave Clifford for him. Oliver admitted he too was trapped, shackled to a wife refusing divorce, clinging to his pension while living with another man. Bitter, he spoke of loathing a world where people used one another for money. Clifford, however, sent Mrs. Bolton to fetch Connie when she stayed away too long.
Though dressed,
she found the
Connie
pair together.
fumed at being treated like a child under watch. On returning, she snapped at Clifford openly, her patience worn thin. Soon, Hilda came, delighted at first that Connie had found love again, but her cheer turned to frost when she learned it was Oliver. Hard-nosed and sensible, she warned her sister of the gulf between classes, that society would shun her for running with a gamekeeper. Meeting Oliver herself, Hilda pressed the point. What security could he offer if he lost his position? If he truly cared, she argued, he'd release Connie rather than ruin her. She stormed off, leaving Oliver staring grimly at the truth, knowing Clifford would never let her go, nor relinquish claim to the child. Even so, Connie and Oliver clung tighter, their passion deepening. But their bubble was pierced when Ned, Oliver's wife's partner, appeared suddenly, forcing Connie to hide in shame. With Venice drawing near, Connie prepared to part, only to remember she'd left her underthings at Oliver's place. He burned them, wiping away evidence of their affair. Later, Connie's father discovered her secret and spoke bluntly, leaving Clifford would gain her little better. He counseled coldly to keep a lover hidden while enjoying the comforts of her marriage. His words left her shaken, torn between the fire of her heart and the gilded cage she longed to escape. Ned, ever the meddler, poked about in Oliver's hut and stumbled upon the charred remnants of Connie's underthings still smoldering in the grate, along with a book clearly hers. Sensing mischief, he swaggered off to the tavern and blabbed the tale over ale, the gossip crackling through the village until it landed squarely at Clifford's door. His advisors urged swift action, dismiss Oliver before scandal devoured the estate. Mrs. Bolton, loyal yet troubled, decided Connie ought to know, though by then she was already making her way back. She warned Oliver that the axe was coming down, but it was no use. Clifford summoned him, cold as stone, reminding him of his place as nothing more than a servant before casting him out with a day to clear off. By the time Connie returned, the damage was done. Mrs. Bolton, stern as flint, turned her back on her, and whispers had soiled her name beyond repair. She sought Oliver one last time at the hut, where he confessed, with a heavy heart, he had nothing to give. No roof, no coin, no future, just love. And even that was being stripped from him as he was marched off the land. They vowed to wait for the right time, clinging to hope in their parting embrace. When Connie confronted Clifford, the row exploded. She reminded him bitterly that the whole business of finding another man had been his twisted idea to begin with. She declared she wanted a divorce, tired of years of cold duty without affection. Clifford insisted he'd been content and begged her to stay, but when he saw her resolve, he snapped, refusing her freedom. Connie left regardless, and Mrs. Bolton, in quiet solidarity, wished her luck in finding Oliver again. In the end, Connie's sacrifice became legend in whispers, with Mrs. Bolton defending her as a woman who gave up all for true love. Months later, Hilda arrived with letters. Oliver had found her living humbly on a farm in Scotland. Connie set off at once, and at long last the two were reunited, ready to raise their child together in peace.